Mel Gibson is living in fear for his life after vowing to expose an elite paedophile ring operating at the heart of the Hollywood system. According to Gibson, Hollywood elites have already tried to cancel him, silence him, and destroy his career, none of which worked because we, the people, understand that he's telling the truth. Mel Gibson enraged the establishment in 2017 by going on the record and denouncing Hollywood as a den of parasites who feed on the blood of kids. The mainstream media quickly pounced on Gibson's revelations, deployed fact-checkers including Snopes to declare the comments fake news, and proceeded to delete every video and article from the internet. Orwell warned us that in the future, the elites would memory hole inconvenient information, and that's exactly what the elites did with Gibson's revelations about Hollywood. In short, Mel Gibson's voice was silenced. Now, 6 years later, Mel Gibson has now declared that he has nothing left to lose, and he is determined to play his part in eradicating the evil of elite paedophilia and child trafficking, regardless of the personal consequences. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the Rumble button to support the channel, and join the People's Voice Locals community for exclusive and uncensored content. The link is below this video. Sound of Freedom tells the story of Tim Ballard, a former CIA operative who quits his job as a special agent with Homeland Security investigations. Early reports indicate that the film exposes VIP pedophilia and child trafficking. Tim Ballard recently told a crowd at the Utah Eagle Forum 2023 annual convention that the 4-part docuseries, executive produced by Tony Robbins, was nearing completion. He also revealed that Gibson had dedicated his life to saving children from elite pedophiles.
Got a phone call from Mel Gibson. He actually did the final edit of The Sound of Freedom. That's how we know each other, but not well enough that I'd be getting phone calls. And he told me that he was in Budapest at the time. This was right hours after the invasion, and he said he supports a bunch of orphans in Ukraine, and he was worried about them, and he asked if I could help get them out. So now I've got 12 from my wife, I got 13 others from Mel Gibson, and I'm thinking, okay, I got this list of kids I got to get out. I told Mel, I said, you got to help me. This is going to be expensive. I won't ask you for direct donation, but can you help me film this? You know, let's film what's happening so we can get people to understand and they can support us. He said, no problem. He helped us get set up and started filming. 4 months later, what I thought was going to be maybe a documentary about Ukraine ends up being a 4-part docuseries that's almost done. It's being produced by DNA Films and executive produced by Tony Robbins. That's how crazy it got and how prophetic my wife was. When I showed up in Ukraine with a list of, I think, 20 names, the Ukrainians countered me and gave me over 10,000 names of orphans that they didn't know where they were because of the chaos caused by war. And more importantly, and more frightening to me, was the fact that I know that human trafficking is a $32 billion a year business. It's the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world, and I also know how kids get forced into that market. And it's through vulnerable situations like in the aftermath of a hurricane, mostly in a developed country, or an earthquake, or in this case, a war. And so the traffickers call it harvest time. And that was the intel we were getting. And so we weren't just there to extract those kids, but look for leads. And it really was a miracle what happened. You know, it's one of these things that, you know, faith precedes the miracle. I take a lot of comfort in the fact that there's only one time in the scripture where Jesus gets mafioso. It's righteous because it's Jesus doing it. But if you listen to his words, it's mafioso. He says that it would be better for you to have a millstone cast about your neck and you thrown to the bottom of the sea than that you would hurt one of these little ones, my children. That's mafioso action, sinking someone to the bottom of the ocean. And Jesus said it. So I know where he stands on it, so I can expect, and we can expect, miracles when we're fighting to protect children.
The mainstream media are terrified of Gibson's new role, and now they are doing everything they can to mislead the masses. According to fact-checkers, Mel Gibson isn't involved in The Sound of Freedom at all. They are even claiming that he has denied his involvement through an unnamed anonymous source, of course. Why are they lying so blatantly about Gibson's role in The Sound of Freedom? because they are terrified of what he's going to expose. According to Gibson, they are running cover for the dark forces who are determined to silence him. They are so determined to silence him and suppress the film, they don't want the mainstream audience to have any idea that the film exists at all. After this quick break, we will look at why the elite are so terrified by Gibson's new direction and the content of this film. And believe me, the elite have every reason to be afraid. But first, an important word from our sponsor. I know I should eat healthier, but I don't. Doctors say that we should eat 6 cups of fruit and vegetables a day, but let's be realistic. Who's got the time to eat 6 cups of fruit and veggies every single day? I certainly don't. But according to a massive study, people who eat healthy live longer, have less heart disease and diabetes, and have less cancer. So I've started taking Field of Greens, and I'll tell you why. Unlike other fruit and vegetable supplements, each specific fruit and vegetable in Field of Greens was medically selected to support specific functions, such as heart health, liver and kidney health, immune system and metabolism. And I take Field of Greens every day to stay healthy and feel good, and it really works. Field of Greens works really fast, and if you're like me, you'll feel healthier, have more energy, and your skin and hair will look healthier too. It can even help you lose weight. But the biggest benefit is the better health promise. Take Field of Greens, and at your next doctor visit, if they don't say something like, "Whatever you're doing, it's working, please keep it up," return it for a full refund. And to help you get started, I've got you 15% off your first order. Plus get another 10% off if you subscribe for recurring orders. Visit fieldofgreens.com and use promo code TPV. That's fieldofgreens.com, promo code TPV. Carrie Lake met with Gibson and they talked about the horrific child trafficking that's taking place around the world. We have to join with brave patriots like Carrie Lake in refusing to cower before the elite and their attack dogs in the mainstream media. Child trafficking is America's dirty secret, and the elite don't want you to know about the full scale of the epidemic. Millions of children go missing every year. Hundreds of thousands in the US alone, with many of them falling into the hands of predators who traffic them through paedophilia networks where the children suffer unimaginable horrors. Sex trafficking, especially when it comes to the buying and selling of young girls, has become big business in America. In 2011, it was the fastest growing business in organised crime, and the second most lucrative commodity traded illegally after drugs and guns. Consider this: every 2 minutes, a child is exploited in the sex industry. As investigative journalist Amy Fine Collins notes, it's become more lucrative and much safer to sell malleable teens than drugs or guns. A pound of heroin or an AK-47 can be retailed once, but a young girl can be sold 10 to 15 times a day, and a righteous pimp confiscates 100% of her earnings. As Ernie Allen of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children points out, the only way not to find this in an American city is simply not to look for it. Where did this appetite for young children come from? Look around you. Children have been sexualized for years now in music videos, on billboards, in TV ads, and in clothing stores like Target. Marketers have created a demand for young flesh and a ready supply of hypersexualized children. As Hollywood veteran James Wood said this week, Hollywood is 100 times more evil than your worst fears. And Hollywood, as Gibson has always known, is at the heart of evil in this world.
When I came over here, I was in my mid-20s.
Right.
The first time I really came over here. You know, I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on, because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
They don't.
And and I formed a bunch of opinions about the town and about the people in it that were like, surely that couldn't be, because a whole place can't be like, you know, Weird Town, you know, where the stranger wanders in and all the people are in the bar and they all shut up when he looks at them, and and they tell you don't go into the house on the hill, and it's like that. And then you go away and you think, no, I was wrong. I mean, that's insane thinking. I'm paranoid. I imagined that stuff. That couldn't be the reason for why so-and-so was acting like, could it? And then you find out later on the track that you are exactly on track with a lot of this stuff. Not specifically on track, but that you could, that some of your worst nightmares were real at the time, and you think, it does rip your life to pieces.
Does it?
If you'll let it.
Yeah.
And it's always pounding at the walls. It's these little guys, these little heathens with no soul downstairs with horns on their head with a battering ram trying to like beat your walls in.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take very long before you realize, or before it gets to you. It's cascading on you all the time. You can't get away from certain attitudes, from certain modes of behavior that this town and the industry dictate. And no matter how strong you are when you come in off the farm with those convictions and a certain line of attack, no matter how strong you are going to be affected by this place.
No,
it's going to divert you from where you were going.
Sure.
You're going to be diverted. You'll eat yourself alive here. And I think it takes that kind of cockroach resilience to survive in this town.
Unlike most stars, Gibson was not seduced by the evil. Here he is years later, still refusing to buy into the evil system.
A gut full of the whole industry. I mean, it's a very strange place, Hollywood. But it's an odd place. And you imagine all these horror stories there that you think, boy, it seems as if I'm being sacrificed over here. No, that couldn't be true. And then you realize that it is true. And you have to, I just left for a while and took a couple of years off, bought a place down in Australia and started digging holes and putting up fences and birthing cattle and all this kind of stuff. And it was fun, you know, it was fun. It was great, and it was a good breather, you know.
Yeah.
After taking a breather, Gibson came back and decided he wasn't going to play by Hollywood's rules anymore. He defied the studio system and made the epic Passion of the Christ. And now he's doing it again by collaborating with Tim Ballard and Jim Caviezel and making Sound of Freedom.
I'm pleading for my fellow countrymen to wake up to what is going on with what's happening to our children. Steve, April 26th, there was a woman named, I believe it was Ms. Rojas. She's a whistleblower. And God protect all our whistleblowers, because they're in serious danger right now for speaking the truth. And she got up and said that this is sworn testimony, 85,000 children have gone missing crossing the border. So I'm going out right now to plead to the public, to the Christians out there, and to anybody that has a heart for a child. We may not even get to the resurrection of the Christ because we won't have a country anymore.
The entertainment industry and the mainstream media, working on behalf of the elites, are determined to keep the epidemic of paedophilia under wraps. They are determined to continue denying there is a problem here, despite the evidence of millions of children going missing every single year. Brave patriots like Mel Gibson, Tim Ballard and Jim Caviezel are determined to bring this epidemic to light. There is no doubt the mainstream media will try to cancel Mel Gibson all over again. If they cannot silence him this way, as he believes, then the dangers for Gibson could be far more serious. It's important that we support him and his work and don't let the mainstream media smear him with lies and fake news. Here at The People's Voice, we are determined to continue reporting on the real news, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel to help us spread the news far and wide. To support the channel and to access exclusive and uncensored content, join the People's Voice Locals community. The link is below this video. I hope to see you there.